Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Roll 'em If You Got 'em. A little different than normal. Tonight, I'm Carl and I'm by myself. Dakota is on vacation in Florida, and I don't blame him for not wanting to do this. Actually, we planned on it, but he couldn't. Anyhow, we're going to take a look at Reverse SLAPCHOP 2.0. This is the first video of our 6 weeks of SLAPCHOP to kind of commemorate our closing in on 1 year of the new era of the channel here. And this was kind of the technique that we featured in our very first video. So I wanted to bring it back to open up 6 weeks of Slap Chop. This is the Barghest, I think it's Barghest, from The Witcher Old World. And I have primed him white in brain matter beige. And if you remember the Giants video, we just did a black wash of that apple barrel paint. Well, this time we're going to try something a little more sophisticated. We're going with dark tone from Army Painter's Quick Shade line. There's the brain matter beige that we primed the model in. And then we just hit the whole model with this dark tone. And I hit the base. I hit kind of everything because this dude's getting this bright green glowy look. So I was thinking that this might be the right model to kind of break this technique back out on and try it. We covered the whole thing, by the way. We covered the base. I covered everything. You see me here. I'm just kind of going back and, for lack of a better term, I'm sort of mopping up the parts where I'm getting too big of pools. So kind of let the brush soak that up, wipe it off the brush, go back. I left the mouth unshaded. It's the only part I left unshaded because these dudes have it's almost like they're glowing from the inside. So I really wanted that to kind of show through in the mouth if possible. But here he is. Obviously this is quick shaded and then it had time to dry. It was probably a day or so before I got back to the model, but it's super quick process to get this kind of shading. And then this is also something I did not do on that original Giant. Come back and just a little bit of white dry brushing. I just wanted to kind of pick out, he's got these veins and things, and I know I want those to be super glowy. So I go back and just kind of pick up some of these points. I will drop the video above. That is the video to this dry brush palette. If anyone is interested in downloading that, it's a 3D print file. It is free. Go on and get after it. So I'm wiping a lot off of this brush before I take it to the model. I'm trying to pick up the most basic high points here. Here he is afterwards. You see I kind of ignored the mouth with the quick shade. And so far, so good. He's looking quite similar to the Giant of yesteryear, but I do think it looks just a little bit better because we're not just taking the super thin down apple barrel paint and punched in there. We're using something of a little bit better quality. Once again, here's the palette. Go to the video and you can get that. For the color here, I'm going to go with Orc Skin Speed Paint Medium, and I'm mixing in some of Reaper Bones' Alien Goo. I've had this Alien Goo for a long time. I don't know for sure if they still make this color or not, but I do 2 drops of that. I kind of just do like 1 drop and then like a wipe of whatever's left, and then 2 drops and a wipe of Speed Paint Medium, because I want to keep this very speed painty. Once again, here's kind of the look I'm going for. we're aiming for it pretty thin. So I'm just kind of wiping it up the sides of my palette here. And I want to watch it flow back down. It's a little thick. I go one more drop of speed paint medium. Probably got enough paint there to do 5 of these guys. I only got 1. But I'm really looking forward to just run back. And then I'm going to cover the whole model with this. I'm also going to get a little bit of the base with it because I'm trying to see if I can pull off any object source lighting without really having to work for it on the base. We'll get to some more of that soon. But really just I'm going to cover this whole guy with this. And a nice thin coat because I want it to flow off of these high points that are the lightest color where they're pretty much just white. Go ahead and get it in the mouth here, which should be pretty glowy just because there's no quick shade in there. And get it all up underneath of him. Just give the guy give the whole model a nice coat of this stuff. Not a not a lot of technique used here. We're just covering the whole model. This is a super beginner friendly technique for painting, I think. Yeah, getting the legs, getting the belly, making sure we get all of it. There's not a whole lot to say here. It does start to pool in the nose. So we come back with that same kind of mopping technique here. So I want to get it nice and smooth on the model and just kind of cleaning some of it off. Want it to be a little thin because especially with mixing the traditional paints and the speed paints, and sometimes it can get a little thick. I think I have just some speed paint medium in the palette right now, and I'm just kind of brushing that over the model, just thinning out some of these thicker parts. And then it's super thin here. This is just kind of where my brush has mixed with that speed paint medium that I was using to thin it, and I'm putting that on the base, putting it on the rock, putting it on like the edges to see if if I can just hit these with a speed paint and get like a cheap object source lighting on this guy. And then I decide I'm gonna hit the whole model with a wash. I go with the green shade, not the military shade, because it is a little darker. And then we hit the whole model with this also. And this is where I think this technique kind of starts to shine through. I could have went back to the strong tone or the dark tone, but I like this green shade when you put it on green. It I think it looks very nice, and it helps the really bright green parts stay bright green. Whereas the quick shade, or not the quick shade, these are all quick shades. The strong tone and the dark tone and things, sometimes I feel like they knock back those high points a little bit, and I didn't want that. And this I do put in the mouth a little. And then we do hit the base with some of this. Pretty sure. Stand by. Yep. Yeah. We do hit the base and a little bit of this just to try to knock back some of the pools, because for the object source lighting, I didn't want the recesses to be super green. I wanted those to be a little darker. Here is the model, still wet with the green shade on it. And I mean, if this is all you wanted to do to call this guy done, I don't think there's very many minutes of work in him. I think you could hit the base with a couple of speed paints, and when this model comes out of the box, like, everyone sees what it is. It is a glowing, borderline radioactive dog of sorts. It's gross, it's green, and it looks cool. But for the sake of the video, we do attempt some highlights here. Now that I just fat fingered it, I don't do super fine work very often, and this is a 10-0 brush. I'm just trying to get these little bits. And it's funny, Dakota and I were just talking about this the other day, how big of a pain it is to record while painting sometimes. And I was like, oh, like, I really don't mind it. It must be just the way I position my chair and my camera and these things. I was like, it really doesn't affect me most of the time. Well, this is one of them times where I'm trying to do these fine line highlights, and I had to move the camera there, and then eventually most of that got edited out. It was out of focus. My hands were in the way. So anyways, we go through with just alien goo out of our wet palette, and we pick out like the edges of the ears, the edges of the mouth, those veiny sort of lines that you see all over the model. Just pick a lot of those out, like kind of the back haunches. A little bit of highlighting back there just because it wasn't super flattering with how it looked. So normally I would use Gravelord Gray and Sand Golem for this base. Gray for the rock, and then the Sand Golem for like this dirt kind of texture. But I go one shade lighter for each of those because I'm trying to make sure that that object source lighting kind of gets through. It doesn't picture great in a lot of the pictures I got, but I do feel that in the final model, it actually worked pretty well. I'm pretty happy with it. The underside of this rock here, I should have went with like the Gravelord Gray or maybe even Grim Black. I may go back sometime and finish it because the this runic gray, it just doesn't punch in rock. It doesn't scream, dark stone to me. But the rest of it, I mean, I was pretty happy with this guy. Like I said, I don't have very many minutes in him. I had real hectic schedules because we've been wanting to do this 6 weeks of Slap Chop leading up to the anniversary of kind of the new age of the channel here. We've talked about it for a while, and then it fell on a week that we were both kind of slammed. So I was in a hurry to get a model out, and I wanted to start with this guy, and he was probably the easiest out of the bunch because there wasn't a lot of colors to play with or anything like that. So thanks for checking out the video. Don't forget, like and subscribe and all that good stuff, and stay tuned for more. I know Dakota is going to try Slap Chop in a bunch of different colored Space Marines. I have a couple of bigger things coming, and then I probably have like 3 larger project videos coming for this. So on top of a couple more of these Witcher models. So thanks for checking it out, and we'll see you next time. Bye.